You can also listen on high def radio. That's on the FM dial, 101.1-2. You can listen on your handheld devices. Do people still say the handheld device, or do they just say your phone? By downloading that free iHeartRadio app. Anything you don't hear live, you can find us on podcast. Just go to 969thegame.com. Look for the open mic section. Look for open mic on demand. That's our entire show. Or you can do it on the iHeartRadio app as well. You can also watch us on social media. We are live and in color on YouTube. Go to YouTube. Look for the open mic live stream. And there we I've got my old school 96.9, my old school AM 740 The Game shirt on today. What are you guys wearing today? I haven't seen the stream yet. What are you guys wearing today?
Ooh, I've got a little cross promotion 104.1 Real Radio t-shirt right now, Rob.
Now I'm wearing one of the two jackets that I own. I own two jackets and two sweatshirts. And
you still wear those that same sweatshirt you used to always wear?
Well, I have two of them.
It doesn't fit anymore because you're so small.
Well, I mean, it's not that I throw things away. I'm a little bit like Mike in that sense. I've got two sweatshirts. I've had two sweatshirts. I still wear the same two sweatshirts. Where I struggle now is with my jeans. I do have jeans that I've had to go get another belt for because the two pairs of jeans that I own three pairs of jeans. I have a black one, gray one, and then blue jeans. And none of them fit well anymore because I've lost so much weight. Because
you're a skinny legend.
Yeah. Well,
you're gone.
Yeah, I'm gone now. It looks decent, but the jeans are too expensive to not wear. So yeah, my black pair of jeans are my favorite, and I'll wear those. I don't care if I was 110 pounds. You would see me with like a rope tied around me like a hobo wearing those jeans. There was that guy in the club with looking like a homeless guy.
All right, that is Adam Reardon, the Deceptive Intellect, and of course Austin Pistolka, the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. I am the Sultan of Sound. I'm feeling fine as wine that is divine anytime. Let me tell you, brother.
Nice. Well, we are feeling fine as wine today as well. We're feeling like a bunch of fools on April Fool's Day. We got some April Fool's topics we're going to get to. We have NBA topics. We have NFL topics. We have college football topics. And it's baseball season today. Woo! So we're going to get into baseball season. We also have your chance to double your stimulus. Only 2 more days of this contest, all right? 7:10 a.m. this morning and tomorrow morning will be the last days of the Double Your Stimulus contest with your chance to win an extra $1,400. We have our open mic early morning April Fool's inspirational quote of the day.
Please tell me it's something like, don't do anything. Just be sad.
A fool and his money are soon parted.
This comes from the bard himself, the great William Shakespeare, who once said, and I quote, "A fool thinks himself to be wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool." End quote. Deceptive intellect?
I would say
take that one.
Yeah, no, I would say that, a fool believes himself to be wise. That means if you think you know everything, you're not a very smart man because nobody knows everything. The wise man knows he's got so much more to learn.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Bingo, bango, bongo. That's right. All right, Major League Baseball opening day. It's today. Gets underway at 1 p.m. with the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the New York Yankees in an American League East battle. The Tampa Bay Rays are at the Miami Marlins today. First pitch, 4:10 p.m. Every team scheduled to play on Thursday, which means it's a real opening day today. The action is likely to stretch past 1 a.m. on the East Coast, thanks to a late-night docket that includes contests between the Chicago White Sox and L.A. Angels and the Houston Astros and the Oakland Athletics. I will be watching baseball starting at 1 p.m. today until 1 a.m. because I am rediscovering the sport of my youth. All right, I've gotten away from baseball. I don't know what it is. Maybe maybe the duties and responsibilities of adulthood when you're a dad and you don't really have that much time. Well, guess what? I'm an empty nester now. I'm a single guy. I don't have kids to worry about. Baseball is going to become my new passion. I'm going to start watching baseball games. In fact, we have a poll about this up right now, one of our supplemental polls with Major League Baseball opening today. Are you buying my contention that this is the season I start watching entire baseball games and rediscovering the sport of my youth? Guys, are you with me on this?
Wait, am I buying the contention that you are going to watch it again? Like, do I really believe that you will watch it, or am I going to rediscover
the sport of your
youth?
No. Do you think I'm going to rediscover the sport of my youth?
I think you're going to try. I think you're going to try. I think you give it a good effort to try to watch some games. But if your schedule gets a little too busy and you're like, I got to cut something out, baseball will be the thing to cut out.
Yeah.
Because it's such a long season. You're like, I'll come back to it around game 130 something.
I haven't watched even a World Series game. I mean, I'll watch the World Series, but I haven't watched an entire baseball game in years.
You know, the great baseball game nap is one of the greatest naps you can have. You know, you start off watching first pitch, you get through maybe 2 1/3 innings, and then you wake up, and it's the 8th inning. Perfect way to watch a baseball game.
Well, it's been a long and eventful offseason, lots of movements, a lot of storylines. The number one storyline, I guess, is that we're sort of creeping closer toward normalcy in sports as it relates to COVID, I'd say. Let's face it, last season's opening day, did that really feel like an opening day with, COVID and nobody was sure what was going to happen with the season? You had who was it? The Marlins. Remember the Marlins had to take a long break at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, this year's not going to be completely normal, but it's at least a step in that direction. Every team is expected to play a regulation length season. That's 162 games, obviously. They'll play those in front of crowds, not full crowds in most stadiums, all right? Although the Texas Rangers, even though they're on the road today, when they return home, they expect to have a full house, 100% capacity for their home opener. President Joe Biden not happy about that. Here's him answering a question from Sage Steele of ESPN.
The Texas Rangers say there will not be any attendance restrictions in their stadium this season. That means it could be filled to capacity, Mr. President, 40,000 people with masks required except when actively eating and drinking. What are your thoughts on the Rangers' decision?
Well, that's a decision they made. I think it's a mistake. They should listen to Dr. Fauci and the scientists and the experts.
Okay, so that's Joe Biden talking about the Texas Rangers. Well, again, I don't agree with the Texas Rangers either. Can't we just wait a little later in the summer when more and more people have been vaccinated? I don't think we should go right to full crowds this season. Do you guys?
No. But I mean, again, maybe it's because I was a kid, but I didn't realize how politicized everything becomes. Every decision has some sort of political tie to it, or it's maybe just been that way for the last 4 to 12 years or so. Because
I'd say the last dozen years. It's been probably since probably since Bill Clinton was in office.
Every decision that a company makes, I mean, first thing I think is Rangers in Texas, heavy Republican state, flying in the face of the Democrats and the fear of COVID, and we're going to open it wide. I feel like that plays into it, and so obviously Joe Biden speaking out against it fits the narrative of these political lines that are drawn. It
does. I mean, you have Ted Cruz, obviously, in Texas, and that's exactly what it is.
And so we've turned our sports into a political statement again. This is where. Remember, we just wanted to watch sports. We wish people would just shut up and play. Listen, we shouldn't be using sports as our political. In the political battle. I agree with Biden that I can't lie. I'm not going to any event that's going to be full. Myself, personally.
No, I'm not either. I'm not either. But
just for reference, there were 4,000 new cases of coronavirus in Texas yesterday. Just to kind of give you an idea of what kind of rate things are going at, and that is with no mask mandates anymore or anything like that. So just for what it's worth, a statistic for a statistic, 4,000 new cases in Texas yesterday.
But that seems low compared to where we were.
It is absolutely low compared to where we were.
So they feel like they're moving in the right direction. That their stance is, hey, we're moving in the right direction. Things are getting better. Let's go ahead and start opening things up. And if you give me those numbers, then I go, well, let's see. But I'll say this: I would be one of the 40,000 myself personally.
At one point, they were having 25,000 new cases a day. So comparatively, that's where we're at.
Yeah, but again, I think we just need to slowly build to capacity. I don't think we need to just jump right into it until, again, I don't know the percentages of people that have been vaccinated, but I'd like to later in the summer. You're going to have most everybody in this country who want to be vaccinated are going to be vaccinated, and then when everybody's been vaccinated who can be vaccinated, then open it up. We got to open up sometime. So later in the summer, I totally agree. By football season, we should be wide open. Roger Goodell said that 2 days ago. Later in the summer, I'm all for full capacity when everybody who has a chance to be vaccinated has been vaccinated. What do you think? We have a supplemental poll. Go vote at 96.9 The Game on Twitter. Straight ahead. What do we got? We got an April Fool's spontaneous text question. Also an NBA topic I want to get to. That's next on Open Mic.
Whether you're drinking your morning
Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Spontaneous text question of the day.
Spontaneous text question of the day.
This is truly spontaneous. Do you guys have any April Fool's spontaneous text question ideas? You know, we could always go with the old reliable biggest fool in sports.
I like that one. I personally like those like, ooh, remember this guy? He was an idiot.
Biggest fool in sports? You get any better ideas than that? Biggest sports prank ever? Biggest your best April Fool? How about that? We'll do two. We'll do two spontaneous text questions of the day. Biggest sports fool. All right. You want to do current, or do we want to do historic? Let's just do current.
Oh, so we can't do Manti Te'o? Dang it.
Biggest fool in sports today. As long as, you know, it can be a retired athlete, as long as they're still relevant, all right?
Is the guy who drafted Sam Bowie in front of Michael Jordan, is he still alive? Can I?
Yeah, you got to at least know the guy's name, okay? Biggest fool in sports today, and your best April Fool's prank you ever pulled off. I'm not even going to tell mine. Because it's so bad. So bad.
Did you once tell your parents that you got your girlfriend pregnant?
No, I made my sister cry one time on April Fool's. Yeah, still feel bad. It was truly horrid.
Like,
it was horrid.
You're just gonna.
Wait, this is the one. I think I remember this one. Is this the one where you called her?
Yeah.
And did you say somebody passed or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so much worse than mine.
Wait, and you told. Wait, what'd you do?
I told my parents that I got my girlfriend pregnant in high school. Because it just so happened to be like a couple weeks not more than a couple weeks, but like, you know, a couple weeks after prom for us, and it was like interesting timing.
Austin was smart. He didn't tell like his girlfriend's parents he got her pregnant, because then that April Fool's joke ends up with him shot in the back there. And he's like bleeding out on the back porch and stuff. It was April Fool's, and he's like, well, honey, get the backhoe. We gotta
cover something up.
We gotta get rid of this guy.
Was that a slug or buckshot? I just got shot with. Must have been a slug. All right, text in your best or worst April Fool's prank you've ever pulled, and or the biggest fool in sports today. And I am not eligible for this award. All right, biggest fool in sports today. A lot of people think Stephen A. Smith is a fool. I know we'll get some for him. I think the guy's a genius. Have you been reading about this feud he's having now with Russell Westbrook? Stephen A. Smith and Russell Westbrook are having a feud. You know, Stephen A. is one of these guys who, you know, he'll get an athlete that, you know, he sort of picks on, and he picks on Russell Westbrook because Russell Westbrook has never won a championship. And, you know, he obviously very talented, one of the great point guards of all time, really, when you look at his stats and the things he's done, triple doubles, all of that. But he and Stephen A. Smith have been going back and forth with Russell Westbrook's wife, Nina, getting involved on Instagram. And she wrote something on Instagram the other day I saw. I don't know how many times I have to be minding my own business and randomly be subjected to you slandering my husband. That's what she wrote.
Slandering? Slander. I want to hear Russell Westbrook slander, what that sounds like. Guy hasn't won a championship. That's slander. No. That's true.
What is it about the former Oklahoma City Thunder players who are so sensitive on social media? Kevin Durant. What is this? There's a story.
This I know about.
Kevin Durant is, I guess he apologized yesterday for using homophobic slurs in a Twitter fight with actor Michael Rappaport. All right. Why is Kevin Durant? And and Michael Rappaport, for that matter. Why are these guys getting in Twitter fights with these? Are they teenagers?
Well, so I actually learned about this yesterday. Michael Rappaport is a guy that said, like, hey, me and KD sort of, had a couple moments where we were joking around, and I thought we were cool, and and then I questioned whether or not, why do you even say, do an interview or something like that?
Yeah, with TNT. Why did an interview on TNT?
Oh, but Kevin Durant is the most sensitive guy. I mean, this is the guy with the burner account, so he could reply to all of us out there that may, tweet, oh, Kevin Durant needed, left Oklahoma City to win a title. That's soft, and he creates an account so he can answer back. Could you imagine having that much money and giving a damn what I have to say? Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what he said. I guess Michael Rappaport said, as you mentioned, Michael Rappaport, the actor, who I guess is also sort of a troll on Twitter. He mentioned Kevin Durant and his interview with TNT, and Durant fired back. He called him he called him a piece of what. The S word, piece of what. Then he used multiple homophobic references directed at Rappaport in private messages, I guess the DMs or whatever. And then Rappaport, of course, showed people
outed him.
The private messages, which is sort of low.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, but again, are these guys how old's Michael Rappaport?
He's way old. He's way old. He's in his 40s, probably 50s.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant is like, he's in his 30s. These guys are acting like teenagers on social media. How about these guys? At least today, these guys are the biggest fools in sports.
How about the fact that, as a 43-year-old, I'm worried that one day I'll have to deal with cyberbullying, But I mean that in the case of like one of my 11-year-olds is going to come to me and go, Dad, I'm being cyberbullied. Mm-hmm. Not I'm 43 and I feel like I'm being cyberbullied. You know what I mean? Like there comes a certain age where you don't expect to be cyberbullied by Kevin Durant and or Michael Rappaport, okay? It's like unbelievable that you're right. They're acting like teenagers. They're acting like children. You're not going to believe what they just texted to me. They tweeted this to me. They called me lame. I'm 43. You can call me a lot of things. As a matter of fact, there isn't anything you can't call me. All right? That'll have me losing sleep at night. I can promise you this.
Somebody just texted in Deshaun Watson, the biggest fool in sports. He may be worse than a fool. Yeah, he may be worse than a fool.
I'm getting Deshaun Watson what's the gun? The guns. The
Theragun.
Theragun. I'm getting to him the Theragun. Like, listen, no more massage therapists for you. Just point this where it hurts, my man, and just pull the trigger, okay? Yeah.
Best April Fool's joke. Convinced my sister, somebody texts in, that she had to change her blinker fluid. Yeah.
Solid.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. All right, keep those coming in. 50857. Straight ahead pro day at the University of Florida yesterday. Eye-popping performance by Marco Wilson. Did it make up for his shoe-throwing performance against LSU? That's next on Open Mic.
Open Mic. We'll be back in a
They had pro day at the University of Florida yesterday. Got another pro day at UCF today. Lots of news. Kyle Pitts. Did you see his wingspan, guys? 83 and 3/8 inches wingspan. Did you see his vertical? 33 and a half inches. 10 feet 9 inches in the broad jump. 22 reps of 225 pounds on the bench press. A 40-yard dash of 4.45 seconds. Not far off the tight end record of Vernon Davis at the Combine in 2006. 4.38, by the way, if you were wondering what Vernon Davis ran. So Kyle Trask looked really good yesterday during pro day. Afterwards, here's what he had to say.
I would say just it's going to come with consistency over the years. Once I enter the NFL, I want to start at a high level and keep increasing every year and being able to do other things that other tight ends aren't doing, which will make me special. So I feel like at the end of the day, with all the preparation and just through the years, I feel like I'll, at the end, be the best to ever do it.
I feel like I'll be the best to ever do it, said Kyle Pitts. Best tight end in the history of the National Football League. Obviously, that's a pretty bold statement, is it not? I mean, you look at some of the great tight ends in history, starting, way back in the day with the great John Mackey. They named an award after John Mackey, the Baltimore Colts tight end. Mike Ditka back in the day, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Kellen Winslow. Give me some others. Gronk, Shannon Sharp. Any other come to mind that might be the greatest of all time?
Shannon Sharp was the one I was thinking of.
What position was
Jason
Dick
Witt?
Butkus?
No, that was the linebacker.
Oh,
Get out of here.
Would have been a hell of a tight end if he would have gone over to the offensive side, I tell you
Warren
what.
Sapp in high school?
Yeah, there you go.
Who is the greatest of all time? I'm going old school with John Mackey. I mean, I don't really remember seeing him play. I just remember seeing the films of him, and John Mackey was just a beast. I'm going to go Mackey or wow.
For me, it's got to be Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
He was so good, man.
He was good. I would almost go Antonio Gates over Tony Gonzalez. They were both former basketball players who became football players, and they were very athletic. But Antonio, and maybe it's my fantasy. Yeah, my fantasy football. Antonio Gates used to score touchdowns like you wouldn't believe. In fact, I think he's the all-time leader in touchdown catches for a tight end. So that's one reason I'm sort of biased toward Antonio Gates. I had him on my fantasy team one year when he was the man as a tight end. So, anyway, what were Kyle Pitts? I mean, where's he going to get drafted? He could go anywhere from where. Could the Dolphins take him at number 6?
I've seen him in the top 5 in certain mock drafts. I mean, that's the kind of athlete he is. Right guy, right place at the right time. I mean, we talk now about how running backs are sort of like a dime a dozen. You know, it's not cool being the top running back coming out of college in 2021. You know what's really cool? Being this kind of tight end, this hybrid tight ends, kind of maybe a little bit. I think for Pitts, he seems a little more receiver than he is tight end. His ability to go up and high point the ball.
Yeah.
He runs a 4.4. I mean, he looks like a receiver who lines up a tight end, but he does that sort of split out stuff. Is he the kind of guy that you bring into the line and he puts his hand down on 3rd and 2 and he's going to drive a defensive end back? Probably not, but this is not the day and age for that. I was just thinking about it as we were talking about Kyle Pitts and what I'd rather be a really good tight end in college right now in this pass catching era than a really good running back.
Absolutely. In fact, if I were in high school right now and I were a star athlete, I would tell them to move me to cornerback or wide receiver, or again, tight end. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a running back coming out of high school now because again, you're first of all, what's the word I'm looking for? Your length in the league is, I mean, you look at the average length of what running backs are in the league compared to some other positions. So, yeah, that's not as long. Your career's not as long, and you don't make as much money. So, all right, we have a thought-provoking daily poll, though, today on another Gator player who was at Pro Day yesterday. Austin, do you have the thought-provoking daily poll up?
I do. The thought-provoking daily poll today is this. Does the eye-popping Pro Day performance of Gators cornerback Marco Wilson make up for his infamous throwing of the shoe penalty against LSU?
Okay, so Marco Wilson yesterday, he was really the star of Gator Pro Day. I mean, he bench pressed 225 pounds 26 times. Again, I'm not going to go through all the stuff. Ran what was his 40 time yesterday? 4.34. So blazing 40 time. But it doesn't matter what Marco Wilson could go on to become the next
Revis Island.
Yeah, he could be the next Revis Island. At least in college, he's always going to be remembered for the throwing of the shoe, which at the time cost the Gators at least a chance of playing for the national championship. So it's sort of like, Chris Webber was great, all right? Mm-hmm. Chris Webber was great, but he's always going to be remembered for trying to call the timeout during the Final Four, right?
Yeah. No, sometimes these mistakes are bigger in your history, your career, than some of your great moments. It's sort of like the Wonderlic score. He failed the Wonderlic test in one moment on the field where people are going to – I'm being dead serious. People will question his IQ or his just – and not that it's fair, but in that moment – we talk about
his decision making.
Absolutely, and that's what people say that the Wonderlic score is not to measure your IQ, but your decision making under pressure. And in that moment, he got a big fat 0, an F minus in decision making. Now, physically, good for him because we do know that there are NFL scouts, GMs, coaches that love these numbers. You run anything sub 4.4. I don't care what position you play. Your grade just got upped a little bit. And then you add the other numbers to it. You add the lineage, all that.
But
good
you're
stuff.
not saying the throwing of the shoe could hurt his draft status. I don't think that. I don't think that at all.
No, I think that it's definitely something that I'll say this: if when they're in these meetings, in these interviews, when they're asking about, I remember they've asked players, hey, did your mom, was she a prostitute? They're going to ask him, like, what were you thinking when you threw that shoe? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he'll definitely get asked about it. All right, go vote on our thought-provoking daily poll and all of our other polls at 96.9 The Game. Straight ahead, is Tiger Woods getting preferential treatment by police in L.A.? Some people think so. That's next on Open Mic.
This is Markel Fultz of the Orlando Magic.
radio station.
Do not forget, 7:10 a.m. today and every day this week, your chance to double your stimulus with an extra $1,400. 7:10 a.m. this morning, 7:10 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is the last week of our double your stimulus contest. Is it not, Austin? Isn't this the last week?
I believe it is. This is your last chance to double your stimulus check, so be sure to listen in at 7:10. Text in that keyword to 200-200.
There you have it. There you have it. All right, our spontaneous text question of the day. It is April Fool's Day, so we want you to text in the best April Fool's prank you ever pulled, and or we want you to text in the biggest fool in sports today. Somebody just texted in Dwight Howard. Never gets old picking on Dwight Howard, does it? Jameis Winston, somebody just texted in. Jason Christ, another underperforming team. They said, loser everywhere he's gone. Another Olympics miss. Thank you, Jason. He, of course, is the coach of the U.S. under-23 men's soccer team that did not make the Olympics. He's not been a loser everywhere he's been, by the way. He did win a MLS Cup when he was the coach of Salt Lake City, I believe, before he came to Orlando City. So he has won a championship, at least in MLS. Ozzie Newsome, somebody just texted in as great tight ends. He was a great one back in the day.
I think he's the best. I think Ozzie Newsome is the best NFL front office guy who has ever walked the face of this planet. Very rarely do the Baltimore Ravens, do you look at any of their draft picks and go, oh, what a bust that guy was.
I thought you were going to say the greatest tight end ever was.
No. He is one of the great tight ends. Yeah, no question about it. But I mean, as a front office guy, you look at what he's drafted early on in the draft. I mean, Hall of Famers all over the place. With Jonathan Ogden, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. I mean, are there a lot of guys that have drafted a bunch of NFL Hall of Famers? Just on their own. Bunch of good draft picks. That team's been good for a long, long time too.
Dave Casper, somebody texted in. The old Oakland Raiders tight end back in the day. Who used to throw the ball to him? Kenny Stabler? I can't even remember.
Mark Bavaro. What about Mark Bavaro?
Mark Bavaro. He was sort of a one-hit wonder, wasn't he?
He was with the Giants. Who would have had huge numbers had, he not been shipped somewhere else. What Jimmy Graham was doing, the rate Jimmy Graham was putting up touchdowns with the Saints. I mean, yeah, that was the right guy at the right place at the right time.
Then he fooled the Packers into giving
product of the system.
Hey, well, and here's the thing. Jimmy Graham didn't play football until like his senior year of college at Miami. He was a basketball player at Miami, and then was like, all right, I'll go out there and play. And then Miami would just like throw up jump balls to him. The guy would catch all these touchdowns, and then it goes like drafted, I think in like the third round or something ridiculous like that. And
Miami had a couple of great tight ends back in the day. Who were those tight ends on the 2001 team?
Oh, it could be Winslow Jr. and Jeremy Shockey.
Jeremy Shockey.
Jeremy Shockey, yeah. Winslow Jr. was on that team too.
Kellen Winslow Sr. He's really the first guy. When you talk about great tight ends, Kellen Winslow Sr. is the first guy who I can remember who used to go deep as a tight end. I mean, he was a guy who would go down the field deep, and Dan Fouts would just hit him. Yeah, Kellen Winslow Sr. has to be on the list. He's top 5 for sure. All right, I wanted to get to this story really quick. The Los Angeles County Sheriff says detectives have determined what caused Tiger Woods to crash his SUV last month in L.A., but would not release details Wednesday, citing unspecified privacy concerns for the golfing star. All right. Sheriff Alex Villanueva has been criticized for his comments about the crash when he called it, quote, purely an accident, saying there was no evidence of impairment Woods told deputies he did not know how the crash occurred and didn't remember driving. He was unconscious when a witness first approached the mangled SUV. Investigators did not seek a search warrant for Woods' blood samples, which could have been screened for drugs and alcohol. Everybody knows back in 2017, Tiger checked himself into a clinic for help in dealing with prescription medication after a DUI charge down in South Florida. There are a lot of people who think Tiger Woods is being given preferential treatment. Villanueva's statement, the sheriff's statement about privacy issues, did not make sense. I'm reading from an AP story right now. To Joseph Giacalone, a professor of the John Jay College of Criminal Justice and a retired New York City Police Department sergeant who has criticized the sheriff's response to the Woods incident from the start. Here's a quote from him. I don't think I've ever seen a department ever ask for permission like that, talking about permission to release the results of the investigation. I don't think I've ever seen a department do that. What happens if his lawyers say, no, you can't release it? Then what happens? Where does that leave us? All right. So this guy's just saying that the police department is protecting Tiger Woods. And you know what? I agree. If this were me or you and we had a DUI on our record, prescription drugs on our record, unconscious at in his car when he got arrested for DUI back in 2017, wouldn't we have our blood tested? Wouldn't we be subjected to at least a DUI type of investigation, right?
I don't think there's when there's a single car accident in the morning. I mean, at the velocity that car was going and all. I think that they would want to
no indication of him putting on the brakes at all.
I would say this, that I would want to test that blood to exclude that for him. Listen, Tiger, a lot of people are going to talk. A lot of people are going to speculate that you were under the influence of drugs and alcohol when this wreck. We're going to test this and then let everybody know that your blood was clean, unless, of course.
I do have one question about this. So LA County Sheriff's Department probably deals with celebrities a lot. Obviously not on this scale
either. If you remember their Kobe situation.
Correct.
Yeah, good point.
Actually, maybe that might be a factor in this.
So
that's
first thing I thought of, the reason why they're not necessarily going head first into this pool is because the last time, but again, they were releasing photos from the crime scene. It's totally different,
right? But
that was sort of like renegade policeman. This is the official investigation here.
But I guess what I was getting at though is that how many times do they pull over a celebrity that is under the influence, and the only reason why this one we're noticing that this one is being handled this way is because Tiger was in a big crash. How often do they pull over a celebrity and go, hey man, I know that you're high, I know that you're drunk right now,
get on home now,
get on home, well I'll drive you home, call someone to pick you up. How often does that happen?
A lot.
I mean,
Mike, and not to name names, but I mean certainly in the sports world it happens.
Sure.
If you live in a college town, and there's coaches that may have been out a little bit late. Mm-hmm. Those guys get the free pass. I mean, it happens everywhere in every those are the privileged.
That's why like coaches like Spurrier used to have their Jamie Spironises to be their designated driver.
Yeah.
That's what your top assistant does. Your what do they call him? Your football ops guy. He's the designated driver.
Jamie,
what he is.
Keep your phone on. Going to nappies.
Come on, Jamie.
Going to nappies tonight.
All right, Jamie, don't drink anything tonight. I'll be at Nappy's tonight. I'll be at the what's that restaurant?
Napolitano's. Nappy's was the place for all those.
The new one. There's a new one now. The seafood place right there on the what's the name of it? Seafood place right there on University. I can't remember the name of it, but it's where they all go now. They don't go to Nappy's anymore. All right. Do we have a Tiger Woods poll? I think we do, right?
We do. Yep. I don't have it pulled up right now because
I've got it right here. I've got it right here, the Tiger Woods poll, all right? And the Tiger Woods poll is this, all right? Do you think Tiger Woods is receiving preferential treatment in how the L.A. County Sheriff's Office has handled the investigation of his car crash? I'm voting yes on that one. I think we're all voting yes on that one. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. Listen live on iHeartRadio. Now. No, seriously, do it now.
What you reading there, honey?
It's very exciting stuff, you see. It's the front page of the internet.
Here we go with the front page of the internet this morning. We start off on YouTube's trending page where Clash of Clans is sitting atop the YouTube's trending page. Yeah. Goodbye, old stuff. Hammer Jam is back. An official trailer for the update to Clash of Clans, the very, very famous mobile game. 7 million views for this video in one single day. Mike, do you have any mobile games that you're addicted to?
What?
Any like
mobile games?
Yeah, games on your phone. You've never gotten into any of those?
No. Lord.
Disappointing. No Flappy Bird. No.
Oh my God. We would my girls' soccer team. We'd all get on Flappy Bird on like a big bus ride, and then see who could set the record on the bus ride from we lived in Ocala at the time. It was Ocala. We were playing Fleming Island, which is over in Jacksonville. You know,
I used to live on Fleming Island.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, Florida Time was that the Florida Times Union days?
What was the name of that subdivision I lived? Eagle Harbor, I used to live.
Nice.
That was nice.
By the way, Mike, a little call back to what we were discussing. The Much Ballyhooed restaurant, right?
Ballyhooed.
Yeah.
That is the name of it.
Ballyhooed restaurant, yeah. Flappy Bird was one. I guess now, I don't really think I'm always like checking my stocks. That's my new favorite game.
That's your new game? That's
my
your new mobile game?
Yeah. Oh, I set a high score. Oh, wait a minute. I just lost all my men.
Yeah, I'm a stock checker now too, unfortunately.
Happy birthday today to someone who is a very niche celebrity. So, do you guys know the show Ghost Adventures?
No.
No.
It's like the most famous ghost hunting show with Zach. I can't remember his last name, but
Efron?
No, not Efron.
Zach Smith. He's about to be drafted in the draft.
Incorrect. That's also Zach Wilson.
Zach Brown.
No, also incorrect. But the co-host Aaron Goodwin it's his birthday. I don't really care. I just want to talk to
the big bald guy.
He is. Yes, he is. How old is big, bald Aaron Goodwin?
He's 43. No, he's 44.
He's 43.
He's 45.
Come on. You bring this guy on and he's not 43?
Listen, I just wanted to know what you guys thought about ghost hunting shows, okay?
I'm not afraid of ghosts.
You're ain't afraid of no ghosts?
I ain't afraid of no ghosts, no.
Mike, you afraid of ghosts?
I am not afraid of ghosts. In fact, I would welcome some ghosts into my life.
I used to watch those ghosts and like, it's crawling under the covers, and I like watch movies like that and go, does that really happen?
Then we do have a tweet that has gone viral from @DadSaysJokes. I saw my wife slightly drunk yelling at the TV, "Don't go in there! Don't go in the church, you moron!" She's watching our wedding video again. And finally, the last bit of news from all across social media. So Joe Biden has put out his $2 trillion plan to help infrastructure, all that sort of stuff. Well, Amtrak has responded by coming out with their new proposal for new routes and their new map. And also means that they would have 30 new routes, enhance 20 plus existing routes, have better services to cities like Houston, Atlanta, and Cincinnati, and they would have service to Las Vegas, Nashville, Columbus, and Phoenix. Question for you guys is, how train? Are you guys train guys? Would you take a train?
I've never been on a train.
I like the train.
I haven't either. I would love to be.
I want to try like at least one. Let me say this. I've been on planes, love planes.
Yeah.
Driven places. I don't mind driving places.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on a Greyhound bus. Okay, so let me say this: if a train
I'm not a
experience,
bus guy.
let me say this: a train experience can't be any worse than the layover at the Jackson, Mississippi Greyhound station at 17 years of age. I'll never forget it. That's why I think I'm battle toughened to this day for that 4 hours I stayed at the Jackson, Mississippi Greyhound bus station at 17 years of age. It's why I'm not afraid of ghosts, honestly. I've seen way worse. Jackson, Mississippi Greyhound station.
I got to tell you, though, the train experience, I went to Europe before I got married several years ago, and I traveled the trains. The Eurail throughout Europe was awesome. I've been on trains here in the United States. We took a family vacation on a train one time. We went up to, where'd we go? Up to Maine, I think.
Ooh.
Maine on a train?
Nice.
Yeah, it was
right
awesome.
in your wheelhouse, Mike. I went to Maine on a train.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, it might have been Washington, D.C. I think we flew to Maine. So.
Well, that ruins that now.
But that's front page of the internet today.
That is the front page of the internet. Brandon Kravitz going to be joining us in a few minutes to talk about the Magic's roster renaissance. We've rebranded that. I wrote a column about our rebranding, by the way, today. You can read that at OrlandoSentinel.com. All right. I wanted to get into this story real quick. The Supreme Court yesterday, they met about the NCAA's business model. All right. The justices of the Supreme Court question whether amateurism is an essential part of the NCAA's business model. If you go and read some of the things that these Supreme Court justices are saying, all right, and they're hearing, they heard oral arguments from, different people yesterday, and the NCAA's case against Alston. All right, the first time the nation's highest court has weighed in on the business of college sports in nearly 4 decades. All right, but when you read some of the questions that these guys, the Supreme Court justices have, it doesn't just sound like name and likeness is going to be a issue. All right. That we know that's going to happen, name and likeness. We know that's happening. It sounds like the Supreme Court justices are wondering, why aren't you guys paying these college athletes again? Why are these coaches making all this money and the athletes, at least monetarily, aren't making anything? So that was one of the questions yesterday. So again, this has to make college institutions of higher learning, all right, has to make them very, very, very nervous how the Supreme Court is reacting to this case. So again,
I think this isn't. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
This isn't just about name and likeness. Now, this is about. Listen to this quote. About amateurism, all right? This is Justice, again, I don't know who all these justices, I should. Justice Alina Kagan, is that it? All right.
Sure.
Quote, you can only ride, she's talking about the amateurism model, all right? That was created more than a century ago to protect an institution that provides social value, all right? Here's what she says. You can only ride on the history for so long. A great deal has changed since 100 years ago in the way student athletes are treated. A great deal has changed since 1985, let alone 100 years ago. I guess it doesn't move me all that much that there is a history to this. So she's saying, the hell with history. We're 100 years removed from your model, and you're making a lot more money now than you were making back then. So that's the point. So these colleges are going to not only have to agree to name and likeness, they're going to have to start paying these athletes. I'm convinced of it.
What will be interesting is if eventually we get to the NFL model, which is that, okay, here's the deal. the school is going to get X amount of dollars, and with their television contracts, and then you got to decide on how you spend it. Are you spending it on facilities and coaches and none of the players? While another school is spending some on facilities, some on coaches, and some on players? Let me say this. Good luck recruiting to a school that only pays its coaches and only dumps money into its facilities. You are going to have to budget. You're going to have to essentially have a salary cap. Not a salary cap, but you're going to have to budget your money. You can't just give Nick Saban $12 million a year and give Najee Harris
Smith.
nothing. Because if Florida's offering Najee Harris 25 to 40 grand a year, Najee Harris is coming to Florida. Eventually, that's what's going to happen. And that's, I think, and guess what? Guess who's going to have to take a pay cut? Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban. Now, Dabo Swinney says he'll quit before players ever get paid in college, and he'll leave. So whoever the next coach is at Clemson has to understand that he's going to have to take a little bit less money than what Dabo Swinney is making, so that these kids could get 40 to 50 grand a year. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Again, this isn't just about name and likeness anymore. We'll get Mark Daniels' take on this later during the bridge. All right, straight ahead, Brandon Kravitz is going to join us. We got a lot to talk to Kravitz about. I specifically want to get his take on the Magic. Of course, he's a member of the Orlando Magic radio broadcast team. And Kravitz is one of these guys. He's sort of like you guys, all right? He's like all giddy about this rebuild. Again, I understand there's a sense of excitement at the beginning of this rebuild, and we got all excited yesterday that the Magic had beaten the Clippers, and we're talking about Chuma Okeke. Can he develop into a star and all of this? And as Mark Daniels says, that's fine at the beginning of the rebuild, but where are we going to be in 3 weeks when the Magic have lost 12 of their last 50? Are we still going to be excited then?
We'll be where we were 3 weeks ago when the Magic had lost 12 of 14,
Oh, darn. We get to be hopeful for a little bit.
You know what we'll be, Mike? We'll be sitting right next to you watching baseball.
That's right. That's right.
Kansas City Royals, baby.
All right, straight ahead, Brandon Kravitz coming up. But first, we have your chance to double your stimulus.
Your chance to win 14
That is the walk-up music of one Brandon Kravitz, host of In the Zone every weekday afternoon right here on this very station from 3 to 6 p.m. Kravs, how are you this morning?
I'm good, bright and early, man. This is like the first thing I'm doing this morning, and it wasn't even my cup of coffee that woke me up. It was when the beat dropped on my walk-up music. Now I'm ready to go.
Nice. We were just talking about the Supreme Court hearing this case before, about NCAA and how much players how much aid they can receive. So here's a quote from Justice Brett Kavanaugh. All right. And he says he has an overarching concern, all right? And the quote is this: colleges are conspiring with competitors to pay no salaries to the workers who are making the school billions of dollars on the theory that consumers want the schools to pay their workers nothing. This is disturbing.
It is funny when you see it laid out that way. I mean, it is sort of eye-opening. I saw the quote yesterday from one of the NCAA attorneys that said that the consumers, it's tough for them to change the model because their consumers like the fact that the athletes are unpaid. Like, we're going to look back at that 30 years from now. We're going to read that quote and go, what the hell were we doing? It just seems so archaic to use that as an explanation. I do think there are people out there that like the fact that there's true amateurism. If that's the best excuse you have not to pay them, that's a bad excuse.
My excuse is that, my excuse, I think they are getting paid with these college educations because I paid for them myself.
What did he say?
Okay, Boomer.
What is okay, Boomer?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, here's what I came up with, and I think that somebody else would have to do like the detailed math on this, whether or not this would actually work out. But just in looking at this very simplistically, I've always thought that what they should do, because you're right, Mike, getting a college education, getting room, board, food, all of the classes and books that you don't have to pay for. I mean, I certainly wasn't on a scholarship. That stuff is very expensive. Getting all of that, there's a real value to it. However, some athletes, and a very small percentage, just don't need that because that's not what they're in school for. And those schools are making a ton of money off of those athletes. So there should be a decision that's made by that individual. An adult American citizen should be able to decide, would you like the free ride from the college, but you can't make any money off your YouTube channel? Or would you like to be an employee of Duke University where we don't pay for your stuff, but you can go make all the money you want? Just make sure that you're there for tip-off. That, to me, should be the way that it goes. Tim Tebow should be able to decide, I don't want your free ride because I'm not going to class. I will come and play quarterback here, and then I'll go sign an endorsement deal with this deodorant company. That's the way it should work.
So what? So college athletes shouldn't actually go to college? Is that what you think?
They should have the choice. Why not? Why should you be locked into all my ceiling is you telling me that I have to go to this economics class when I know that I'm going to be the first pick in the NFL draft? Why?
My major is football. My classes are personal finance. That's it.
So Mike, you're telling me that that's so bad that it's going to ruin the fabric of football. Like, what do you think's happening anyway? Did Trevor Lawrence need to go to general psychology on Tuesday morning?
No.
To get drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars? Isn't the whole point of college to get you ready for the next level of life?
But you're talking about 0.0001% of guys who are like Trevor Lawrence. All right. Most guys are like the undrafted free agents who end up playing in the Alliance of American Football.
Well, then those people would want to take the scholarship from the school and not make money off their YouTube channel, and you act like an amateur. Why can't we intermingle the two? Would it ruin the fabric of college football if one guy had an endorsement deal and the other had class at 3 p.m.? Why would that change anything?
How about this? How about just the guys who don't want to go to college? How about the NFL get off its ass and have a minor league for those guys?
So wait, why is my idea worse than yours? Because your idea would ruin college football, and mine would keep it intact.
No, it would not. It would not ruin college. That's where you're wrong. It would not ruin college football.
The guys that we're spending all this time talking about with all these pro days that we got to watch in college at some of our favorite schools to follow, if they didn't play there and instead they played in some spring NFL league that nobody cared about,
believe me,
if be obsessed with college football.
Absolutely. Guess what? Nobody was talking about Kyle Pitts when he signed with the University of Florida. They care about Kyle Pitts because he became a star at the University of Florida. If Kyle Pitts were playing in a spring football league, nobody would know about him. Nobody would know about him, all right, until the NFL draft, and then you would know about him. No, college football makes its stars, and if it's a lower-level star, people would still be interested in college football.
You're watching an NFL game, and the defense is lining up for the first play, and it's a Sunday night prime time. What's the first thing that happens? They start rolling down the list of players, the personnel on that defense, and what's the first thing out of their mouth outside of their name? It's the school that they went to. It matters. Yeah. The rub from the NFL to college football, the NFL draft, and the promotion that college football gets, it all works together.
It matters to the NFL. It matters to the NFL. It doesn't matter to yes, the NFL loves the fact that college football makes stars of players that are going to go to the NFL. The NBA would love that. The NBA would love if college players stayed in school for 3 or 4 years and became big stars before they ever went to the pros. So, yes, the NFL loves it. I'm just saying college football would be fine without it. Is all I'm saying.
Maybe the NFL should just throw some money at universities in this country, and maybe that would help solve the issue. They're making enough of billions of dollars on their TV deals.
Right. All right, real quick. I know how giddy you are about the Magic's roster renaissance as we've rebranded it. All right. So you're giddy about it. You're big on the rebuild, all of that. I understand. It's new and it's something new to talk about. I want to see how giddy you are. Okay. I'm going to ask you one question right now. If the Orlando Magic had a chance to get Aaron Gordon back, trade Aaron Gordon back to the Magic for Chuma Okeke,
no.
Would you make that trade? Huh?
Absolutely not.
You'd keep Chuma Okeke, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I wouldn't even have to think about it. Not a debate in my mind. Aaron Gordon's already reached his peak. I know what his peak is. Right now, he's a better player than Chuma Okeke, but I think Okeke has the upside of. And don't go crazy here, Mike. I'm saying he's got a lot of room to grow. I think he's built like, plays like, and is smooth like Kawhi Leonard. I think he has that level of upside. And Aaron Gordon's upside is literally Aaron Gordon. That's what he is.
By the way, Vooch lost again last night.
24 points and 10 rebounds, though.
Shocker. Yeah. Man, we're all so shocked.
You know who else lost last night? Evan Fournier.
He lost.
Did he at least score a point? I don't know.
Great question. I need to look at that.
What's the Nuggets? The Bulls are 0-3, I think, since Vooch joined. What's the Nuggets since
they're 1-1, right?
Well, the Nuggets won the first game. I don't know if they've played again, but
yeah, they lost the second game because the first game they were excited about Aaron Gordon, and the second game he came out and scored 6 and they lost.
Yeah, so Evan Fournier missed what? He missed like 5 threes in his first game. Was that the number? He was 0 for 10, 0 for 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's 0 for 7 from 3-point range now with the Boston Celtics because he was 0 for 2 last night.
Man,
does he miss it?
Really miss him.
Because he's so depressed.
By the way, I want to reiterate what Brandon said. Brandon, who's maybe more positive than anybody else on the moves, the Magic. He said the upside for Chuma Okeke is what Kawhi Leonard like.
Kawhi Leonard, yeah, Kawhi Leonard.
Sure. If you watch the way he plays, he is built like, plays like, and when he looks good, his good looks like Kawhi Leonard. Now, he's not Kawhi Leonard, but he's really, really good defensively.
Not Kawhi Leonard yet. Yeah. Come on.
He high points his shot. He's got that wingspan. He's got this sort of calm Duncan Kawhi-like demeanor about him where he doesn't get too excited about anything. He just looks like he's always even keel. That's who he reminds me of. I understand that he's got a ways to go till he gets there, but I can at least say that. And you're like, oh, you sound crazy, but maybe. I would never say that about Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's upside is winning the dunk contest once, you know?
No, it's second place at the dunk contest.
Plus,
well, I'm saying his upside is to win it because he hasn't done that yet.
Plus, Kravitz gets all excited when he starts talking about wingspans. I guarantee when Kravitz saw that Kyle Pitts had an 83 3/8 wingspan at Pro Day yesterday for the Gators, you were fired up about that, weren't you?
Are you kidding me? I was losing it. 4'4". He's trying a 4'4". The guy weighs almost 250 pounds. Crazy. Mike, can I give you the rundown of why I so badly want to read these names to you because I need you to understand why I'm excited about this rebuild. I don't get excited about all rebuilds. You and I did a show together back when Dwight Howard left. I was not excited about what was left in Orlando. There's a difference between, like you and Mark are talking about this rebuild as if it's so identical to the last one. It's not. It's not even close. In 2012, let me read you some of the names on the Magic roster. Aaron Aflalo, Gustavo Ione, Glenn Big Baby Travelodge Davis, Mo Harkless, who now, like 8 years later, has turned into a decent player, Al Harrington, Tobias Harris, you had no idea what you had in him, DeQuan Jones, Deron Lamb, Josh Roberts, Etwan Moore, and Andrew Nicholson. Is that there was nobody to be excited about? Not one. Right now,
Tobias
you've got
Harris?
Well, okay, if you want to say Tobias, but again, at that time, you had no idea what you had in him. At this very moment, today, on April
Aaron
1st.
Aflalo, at the time, Aaron Aflalo was a pretty good
decent.
player. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, you've got Isaac, you've got Fultz, you've got Chuma, you've got a top draft pick, you've got the Bulls draft pick, you've got Otto Porter looks pretty good, RJ Hampton's exciting, Wendell Carter's pretty good. I mean, I could keep going. All these guys, their 2012 was completely different than what you have right now. You actually have decent basketball players.
You're leaving. You left off Vooch.
Oh yeah, Vooch. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had Vooch.
Yeah. Had Vooch.
Yeah,
nobody was excited about Vooch then, though. Do you remember that? This isn't like
he was
Vooch
a throw-in.
now.
He was a throw.
I'm talking about at that moment versus at this moment. At this moment, you're excited about some of the pieces the Magic have, so you're starting way ahead. And Rob Hennigan's not making the decisions for this team anymore, which means you're like 8 steps ahead. So that's why I'm excited.
Okay. All right. What do we have on the in the zone today?
Well, wow. So a lot to get to. We're going to be breaking down more pro days, wingspan, and all of that. Plus, Major League Baseball season starts today. So I'm going to give live scores and talk about what I love about the game coming up at 3 p.m.
There you have it. Brandon Kravitz in the zone, 3 to 6 p.m. every weekday right here on FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740. Thanks, Kravs.
Bye.
Straight ahead, we went way over. We've got some sound off coming your way next on Open Mic.
Open Mic. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
I'm sorry. Extremely sorry.
That is the Sound Off Music Sound Off, brought to you by Magic versus Pelicans tonight, right here on FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740. Coverage starts at 7:30. Austin.
Sound Off. Sound Off. 2021, we're going to get back to some normalcy, and I definitely think that whoever's going to be in the end of the season, and when they get there to the postseason, they're supposed to be there. And that individual is hitting 30 home runs and 100 RBIs that didn't get 30 hits last year, they supposed to hit 30 and 100. We're going to get back to some normalcy in 2021.
That's Torrey Hunter talking about how Major League Baseball is getting back to some normalcy. Opening day today. I think he was taking a shot at the Marlins, who made it into the playoffs a year ago. It's opening day. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Well, again, it was every sport was weird last year. I mean, we're certainly seeing it in college basketball when Duke and Kentucky did not make the tournament. Indiana didn't make the tournament. North Carolina had a bad year. So we've seen it in college basketball where, because of whatever, the distractions, the COVID, whatever you want to blame it on. It's been a weird season. In professional sports, you've had opt-outs. In college sports, you've had opt-outs. So, again, yes, we are returning to normalcy. Vaccinations are more and more prevalent. By midsummer, everybody who wants to have a vaccination should have a vaccination. So yeah, we're going to have full stadiums, hopefully, by midsummer as well. So, yeah, everything's getting back to normal.
Sound off. Sound off.
I would say just it's going to come with consistency over the years. Once I enter the NFL, I want to start at a high level and keep increasing every year and being able to do other things that other tight ends aren't doing, which will make me special. So I feel like at the end of the day, with all the preparation and just through the years, I feel like I'll, at the end, be the best to ever do it.
That's Kyle Pitts, former Florida tight end, soon to be NFL tight end, saying, at the end of my career, I could be the best to ever do it if I just keep on adding to my game. I mean, Adam, is he setting himself up for a pretty harsh fall, or do you like his gusto?
Any athlete that I've ever been around at a high level athletes believe they're going to be the best at that. For that to happen, he's got to be drafted by the right team, hopefully already have a quarterback in place. It'd be nice if he got drafted by a team who has a quality young quarterback.
I got news. The Bucs aren't drafting him, so Brady's not going to make his career like he made Gronk's.
No, he's got to find the next Brady, and I don't know who that guy is at this point, but that's going to be part of the equation for him. Now, if he ends up on a bad football team with question marks at the quarterback position, and it's a team that maybe is going to let go of their coach, and the situation is going to matter for him. But on the hoof, in this day and age.
Sounds like the Jaguars you just described.
What? That's who should draft him?
Get drafted by a team that has coaching issues and quarterback.
Well, the good news is he's not going to be drafted by the Jaguars because they're going to take Trevor Lawrence, and he ain't going to be around when the Jaguars have their second pick. But physically he can do it, and especially the way tight ends are used today, they're not asking him to put his hand on the ground and block down on defensive ends a whole bunch of times.
Sound off. Sound off.
If the guy is there at the right time that we really think has a great future, and no better time than to have one sit for a couple of years and learn from those two guys. So each round there's going to be one of those guys in that picture to try to see who's the best available right then.
Last one, Mike. I got to go to it pretty quick. Bruce Arians talking about drafting a quarterback. They've got Tom Brady locked down under contract. What do you think about the Bucs drafting a quarterback right now?
Yes. Adam Reardon called it the other day when we were talking about Kyle Trask being overlooked as a first-round draft pick. If Kyle Trask is available in the second round when the Bucs pick, when did the Bucs pick? Where did the Bucs pick? Why wouldn't you maybe take Kyle Pitts at the end of the first round?
Kyle Trask
at the end of the first round if you're the Bucs. Yes, they should draft a quarterback for the future. Blaine Gabbert and Tom Brady Both of those guys are going to be gone soon. So in a year or two, and Kyle Trask would love, he relishes sitting on the bench for 2 or 3 years before he actually gets discovered.
Sound off. That's sound off for today.
There you have it. All right, straight ahead, we're going to get back into baseball. It's opening day. How excited are you? Orlando, I cannot wait to head out to the old ballpark today, watch our baseball team, the Orlando Dreamers. Oh, that's right, we don't have a baseball team. All right, but we're going to talk about baseball next on Open Mic. Open Mic, the best radio show
to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. Joined, as always, by Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, and, of course, Austin Pistolka, the Sultan of Sound.
Yeah.
Together we are Open Mic, the troika of sports talk radio excellence in the megalopolis we know as Central Florida. We have a lot of polls up. We like polls, all right? We like thought-provoking daily polls. We like supplemental polls. We like fishing polls. We like telephone polls. We like Gallup polls. We like all sorts of polls, all right? So we want you to go vote on all of our polls at 96.9 The Game, because we want to know what our listeners think. We want to know what people on social media think. By the way, you can watch us on social media right now if you go to YouTube and look for Open Mic on Demand. Open Mic Live Stream. Open Mic Live Stream. Search for that on YouTube, and you can watch us live and in color. It is baseball season. Starts today. Gets underway at, what did I say earlier? I think it's 1 o'clock is the first game. That'll be the Blue Jays taking on the Yankees. The Rays and the Marlins go at it. First pitch 4:10 p.m. today. Every team scheduled to play today, so it's actually a real opening day, unlike some of these opening days of the past where, you'd have teams opening in the middle of the night in Japan, and then the next day would be the unofficial opening days. So this is a real opening day today. You're going to have baseball all day long, starting at 1 o'clock. It's probably going to go to 1 a.m. It's going to go from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. on the East Coast because we have some late games tonight as well. As everybody knows, it's been a long and eventful offseason in baseball. Lots of movement, lots of storylines. The number one storyline in not just baseball, but all of sports right now is that we are creeping, and I say creeping closer toward normalcy in sports as it relates to the pandemic and as it relates to COVID. Let's face it. The last baseball season, it didn't feel like opening day. I mean, it was right in the height of the pandemic. You had COVID issues right from the bat. So didn't feel like a real baseball season. It was a shortened season. They didn't play 162 games. All of that. All right. This year is different. It does feel more like, opening day. There's going to be 162 games. There's going to be crowds, all right? Now, every team is not going to have sold-out crowds at the beginning. Most stadiums are going to be socially distanced, at least for the first part of the season, although the Texas Rangers, we all know the politics in the state of Texas. They say, hey, have at it. If you want 100% attendance, go ahead. So the Texas Rangers are planning a 100% sold-out crowd when they play their first home game. I don't know when that first home game is. They're on the road to start the season, but they are planning on a sold-out stadium. And President Joe Biden not happy about it. Here's what he said yesterday in an interview with ESPN's Sage Steele.
The Texas Rangers say there will not be any attendance restrictions in their stadium this season. That means it could be filled to capacity, Mr. President, 40,000 people with masks required except when actively eating and drinking. What are your thoughts on the Rangers' decision?
Well, that's a decision they made. I think it's a mistake. They should listen to Dr. Fauci and the scientists and the experts.
Okay, that's Joe Biden. By the way, the Rangers also just looked this up. They play their first home game on Monday. All right. And again, I agree with Joe Biden. I agree with most sports people out there who aren't starting the season with full crowds. I mean, UCF's having their spring game next week. Not that they get a full crowd anyway at their spring game, but it's going to be socially distanced. I don't think we need to just rush into, hey, we've some people have been vaccinated, so let's just fill the stadiums now. No, can't we go at this slowly? Can't we get everybody vaccinated or everybody who wants to be vaccinated? What is it next week in the state of Florida? If you're eligible, if you're an adult, you can be vaccinated as of next week, right? Is that right, Austin?
Yes, on Monday, April 5th, 18 and up.
Mike, let me ask you this, because you brought this up a few weeks ago, or maybe a week or two ago. Okay, so the Rangers are going to open this up to full capacity.
Mm-hmm.
When the public speaks on this by coming to the turnstiles to walk into the building, how many people do you think will be there?
Well,
do you think they'll have 40,000+ in the building?
Wow. I don't know. I think people are going to be very surprised at the. I don't think people are just going to come flooding back in to the sports stadium, even when the vaccinations are complete. I don't think I think you're going to see a drop in attendance across the board in sports. All right, we've talked about this. I mean, the college football the Gators had, what was their capacity last year? Gators are probably the most rabid college football fan base in the state. They didn't sell all of their tickets last year to a socially distant stadium. So what makes you think 90,000 are going to come piling into the swamp this year? So no, I don't think the Texas Rangers will have a sold out crowd on Monday. Do you?
Do you want to know
Texas?
It is Texas. Do you want to know how much tickets are going for right now?
What are they paying? $5 a pop?
Cheapest right now is 2 tickets, $90, so $45 a pop right now.
So that's pretty high for a baseball game, isn't it?
For home opener, $45.
That seems low to me.
Yeah.
That's the cheapest.
That's the
like,
cheapest.
That's like
how many are available?
The foul pole's in my face. I can't see anything.
How many are available? Does it say?
It does not say how many are available, but it appears there are quite a few available right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who thinks, again, even before the pandemic, people forget this. Even before the pandemic, sports attendance was going down in all sports, college football, NFL. So anybody who thinks that people are just, maybe for the first couple of games they'll flock in there just because they want to, they want to get out and, be part of the community and all of that. But I think people are going to start going to games less because of the pandemic, less in general.
I agree with that. And I agree that their new normal has been, hey, let's just watch it at the house. In this day and age, TVs are so good. It's 4K. It's high def. I mean, we can just watch it at the house, spend less money, and then keep ourselves as safe as possible. I think their new normal for people is to watch sports from home. And it's been trending that way for a long, long time. And I think that the pandemic and forcing people to find that new normal is going to change things, I think, maybe forever.
Yeah, I've told you guys this before. Like, when I travel on airplanes from now on, I'm going to wear a mask. I'm wearing a mask on an airplane from now on.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm in the grocery store from now on, I'm going to stay 6 feet from the person in front of me, and if anybody's close enough to get an elbow in the face behind me, they're going to get an elbow in the face.
All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. We are football. We are FM 96.9, The Game. You feel that?
I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just hook it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
That's right. It is time for the blast here on Open Mic. Remember, the blast is brought to you by Frank Gay Services. If you need an electrician or a plumber and you need them right now, go to frankgayservices.com. They will hook you up. That is frankgayservices.com. Let's start off with the poll we were just kind of talking about. Supplemental poll number 2, with Major League Baseball season opening today, are you buying beyond... sorry, that was the wrong one. Supplemental poll number 3, do you agree with President Joe Biden that it's a, quote, mistake for the Texas Rangers to allow 100% capacity at their baseball games? Yes or no?
Right now, yes. Yes, I agree. Right now. But again, midsummer, when everybody's had a chance to get vaccinated, and everybody who wants to get vaccinated will have been vaccinated, then yeah, I think we need to start opening it up and getting back to normal. But now I still think it's a little bit too soon because not everybody has had a chance to be vaccinated yet. So I'm gonna go, yes, I agree with Biden right now.
Yeah, when you talk about the death toll that we've seen from this virus, then I'd like to err on the side of caution. Let's slowly build to what people want, which is the ability to freely move about and do the things they want to do. But we got to remain safe at the same time. So yeah, I would agree with him that right now full stadium seems like a mistake to me.
With 53% of the vote, no, the audience does not agree with President Joe Biden.
Okay.
Supplemental poll number 2, with Major League Baseball season opening today, are you buying Bianchi's contention that this is the season he starts watching entire baseball games and rediscovers the sport of his youth? Yes or no, Mike?
When I was a kid, I absolutely loved baseball. I was addicted to it. I played it. I watched it. I was a big Dodgers fan when Tommy Lasorda was manager. Even before Tommy Lasorda, Walter Alston, I remember, was the manager before Tommy Lasorda. I love Steve Garvey and Davey Lopes and that Dodgers team. And my little brother, my big brother was a Cincinnati Reds fan, and the Dodgers and the Reds were big rivals, and I got away from it. I don't know what it was, maybe the time constraints of adulthood, and I got away from baseball, but I want to rediscover it. I just wish we had a team in Orlando. I think that hurts us in Central Florida because, again, I have a buddy, Jeff Wilson, who's the lead singer of the house band. He's from Pittsburgh. He still follows the miserable Pittsburgh Pirates, even though he doesn't live in Pittsburgh anymore. We need a team here so we can all rediscover baseball together.
Part of the poll question is whether or not Mike will watch an entire game.
Yeah. Entire baseball games. Multiple.
No, there isn't a human being on this planet anymore who watches entire baseball games.
Okay, maybe that was a stretch.
Yeah. Nobody does that. For those scoring at home, let me say this. Not only is not anybody scoring at home, people aren't watching this entire game, so they're certainly not scoring at home.
What about if it's your main, the main thing that
Nobody
you're watching?
Nobody has 3.5 to 4 hours to invest in watching a baseball game.
So you're saying I won't even stay in front of the TV for 3.5 or 4 hours?
No. I mean, for football, yes. I think we're football fans. This is a football country. It used to be a baseball country. Our grandparents used to do that. Used to, watch the old ball game.
Sit in front of the telly?
Yeah, that's
black and white.
Hey, Billy, go over there and move those bunny ears for me. It's getting a little hazy over here.
Tell you what, the baseball nap, brother. First 3 innings and then the last 2.
Yeah, there's a chance it's television.
Not bunny ears, or rabbit ears.
Rabbit ears, my bad, bunny ears. What do I know? I'm a little bit younger.
89% of the vote says no, there's no chance that that's happening.
Although my mom used to say, hey, Mike, go outside and spin that antenna a little bit. Point it toward Jackson. We used to have to go outside and spin the antenna by hand. Yeah.
I know that feeling as well. I mean, you were in Interlachen. I spent part of my teenage years in Ocala. Same thing. Dirt road, horse land. 3 channels, hey, turn it toward. When you had to turn to channel 2, that meant go outside and twist the pole that was holding the antenna.
Gosh, I'm glad I was born when I was. Thought-provoking daily poll time. Does the eye-popping pro day performance of Gators quarterback Marco Wilson make up for his infamous throwing of the shoe penalty against LSU? Yes or no?
Well, again, among draftnicks who don't really know what Florida Gators football is all about and doesn't follow the Gators, yeah. But for Gator fans, it doesn't matter what Marco Wilson does throughout the rest of his career. As we said earlier, he could be Revis Island, and he's always going to be remembered by Gator fans for the throwing of the shoe and the penalty against LSU that cost the Gators perhaps a chance to play for the national championship. Hell, UCF fans, Matt Prater, one of the greatest kickers in NFL history. UCF fans, at least longtime UCF fans, still remember Matt Prater for missing the extra point that cost UCF a chance to win his first bowl game. That's how fans are. Nick Anderson always going to be remembered for the 4 missed free throws by Magic fans. So, yeah, Marco Wilson will never live that down.
Yeah, Leon Lett remembered for the fumble in the Super Bowl. I mean, sometimes these moments stick with you forever. If you're asking Marco Wilson, the day he's drafted probably 25 spots higher than he was going to be, and that impacts his bank account, believe me, it matters to him. It's moved. He's forgotten all about it, but Mike's right. Gator fans, when you mention Marco Wilson, the first thing that pops in your head isn't going to be his 40 time. It's going to be, isn't going to be the distance on his broad jump. It's going to be the distance on that shoe toss.
Yeah.
85% of the vote says no. No, there's no way. Supplemental poll number 1 with Gators tight end Kyle Pitts saying at Pro Day yesterday that he will be the best tight end in history. Who is the GOAT of retired NFL tight ends? Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, John Mackey, or Kellen Winslow?
You know me. I'm old school. I'm going Mackey. Which of all those guys you just named, which of the other ones has an award named after him, okay? The John Mackey Award goes to the best tight end in all of college football. John Mackey was a prototype back in the day before prototypes. He used to catch the ball over the middle, and he was a beast. You couldn't bring him down. You look at some of the old NFL films of John Mackey receiving the pass from old Johnny U in his high-top cleats. You couldn't bring John. Not one man could not bring John Mackey down. Mackey is the best of all time.
That's because linebackers weighed 190 pounds back then, okay?
Could have been it.
Yeah. Give me Tony Gonzalez. His numbers, big guy that could catch the passes too. Tremendous athlete. He and Antonio Gates, both, by the way, I think college basketball players turned football players. So the athleticism clearly there for those guys. And then, tip of the cap to the other two guys as well. Kellen Winslow, I think, the first superstar tight end, as far as a receiver is concerned, as Mike mentioned.
That would be one John Aloysius Mackey was the first superstar tight end receiver.
I'm talking about the guy that could go deep, like you said. Go deep.
He could go deep.
We had someone very confused tweet in and go, why is Kellen Winslow on this list? But not that Kellen Winslow.
Not
Senior.
Senior. With 60% of the vote, Tony Gonzalez wins this one in a landslide victory. Supplemental poll number 4. Do you think Tiger Woods is receiving preferential treatment in how the LA County Sheriff's Office has handled the investigation of his car crash? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. And again, I'm glad Tiger is fine, but if that were Adam Reardon or Mike Bianchi or Austin Pastolka in that horrific car crash, and we had a history of DUI and prescription drugs and all of that, our blood would have been tested, and that would have been part of the investigation. They didn't even take a blood sample. I'm sorry, they didn't ask for the hospital's blood sample of Tiger Woods. And now the investigation is complete, and they're not releasing the results because of quote-unquote privacy issues. If that were us, it wouldn't matter about the privacy issues.
Yeah, I mean, if you caused a wreck and you were under the influence at that time, the police would want to know. And they should want to know. And if they do know, but they're not telling, you'd figure they'd tell us if there was nothing in the blood, right? So what are you keeping a secret at this point? We don't know.
They don't have the blood. They never even investigated the
I guess
blood.
they didn't want to know. But as police officers, part of your job is to investigate when things happen. You're not necessarily a crime. You don't know if there's a crime or not unless you do an investigation. Was he drinking? Was he on drugs while he was driving? We need to investigate. What's part of that investigation? Let's get the blood sample. We'll know then.
Was this the L.A. Police Department or the Tallahassee Police Department, for crying out loud?
That's some good police work there, Lou.
74% of the vote says yes, he is getting preferential treatment.
Lou? Hey, Lou.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
Every good
You dirty
detective.
rat, you.
Every good detective needs a good Lou in the force. Let me tell you.
Sergeant Quimby.
And finally, the open mic Would You Rather poll. Would you rather only be allowed to listen to one podcast, and yes, it still gets updated with new episodes weekly, or only be allowed to listen to one band's songs? One podcast or one band?
One podcast or one band? Well, since I spend most of my time listening to Tom Petty anyway, I'll go one band. I couldn't live without. I have to have some sort of music in my life. I'm a musical guy, even though I'm not I can't sing or play an instrument except for my nose, which I pick and blow. Yeah, how about that? Pretty funny joke for you.
Dad jokes.
Music.
I guess I'll choose music as well. I mean, because eventually I'd run out of serial killers for the podcast
the
I listen to.
crime junkies run out.
Oh my god, yeah. I've blown through. There was a new one spinoff of the crime junkies that I've blown through all the episodes, and I keep looking back and go, wait a minute, there's none more. I mean, there's nothing more for me. So yeah, I guess it would probably be Radiohead. I'd listen to nothing but Radiohead songs.
Man, it's podcast for me every single day. For me,
which podcast?
The Critical Role podcast.
I set the guy up to promote his own podcast. I set him up to
it's the Sash and Beard Show podcast. It drops every Sunday or on YouTube Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Or you could listen to that other show that he prefers over that one. I guess.
Son of a gun. Podcast wins this one with 66% of the vote.
You dirty rat, you killed my brother. Anyway, now you got me talking like old time.
I watch a lot of these movies now when I'm taking care of Grant. Like we'll switch from sports to news, and then eventually, did you know that Cary Grant?
Adam's waking up Gramps. Hey, Jimmy Cagney movies on Gramps.
Oh my God, this lady's hot. What's her name?
Natalie Wood.
Oh my
God. Doris Day.
Raquel Welch is fire.
I don't know any of these names. I know zero of these names.
Gina Lola Bridget, are you kidding me? Wow. Anyway, all right, we're going to get into some more baseball talk, and I have an NBA topic I want to get to next on Open Mic. Open Mic, the best radio show in town. Isn't that right, Urban Meyer?
I don't know who creates a story like that.
I'm not creating stories, Urban Meyer. I'll tell you who has the best AC company. We're all a bunch of fools, aren't we? What was our quote from the great William Shakespeare earlier today?
If we're
you guys remember
the genius, he thinks he's a genius is a fool, but he who...
Nah, that's not it. No, that's not.
What?
The quote was from the Bard: "A fool thinks himself to be wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool."
That's what I was saying. Genius, fool, wise.
Yeah, whatever.
It's all the same thing.
So anyway, we are all wise men because we know we're fools. So there you have it. Pretty simple. The Bard, William Shakespeare.
Good old Bill.
Once said that. You know what the Bard is?
Mike, I play Dungeons and Dragons. Of course I know what a bard is.
Isn't that what they called Shakespeare, the Bard?
Yeah, I mean, a bard is someone who is gifted musically or as an actor of the time.
No, but I think Shakespeare was
like the Bard.
Yeah, but I thought Shakespeare was the Bard. I think that was his nickname, the Bard. Was it not?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think his nickname was the Bard. Sort of like the deceptive intellect.
Yeah, well, but Bard was actually means a badass writer dude. But people back then thought that writer was spelled with an R.
The Bard of Avon.
Was that his nickname?
Yep, the Bard of Avon.
Well, so he wasn't the Bard, like just the Bard of all.
Well,
he just only of Avon.
Only of Avon.
Did you know that?
What about Mary? Who was the Bard of Mary Kay?
Bob Stoops' wife. I was going to say, did you know Bob Stoops' wife is the Bard of Mary Kay?
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right, we were talking about baseball earlier, and baseball season starts today, and me trying to rediscover the sport of my youth. And again, I used to absolutely love baseball, and, as we grow older, I guess we all, have responsibilities of, getting married and fatherhood and jobs and all of that. When I was a kid, man, I used to love watching baseball and listening to baseball on the radio, all of that. Were you guys ever really into baseball?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I'll go, oh, no. And not that I hated baseball. It's just a sport I didn't grow up playing, so I never gained sort of the love for that game. And I didn't have a dad who was outside playing catch with me.
Have some catch.
Yeah, no, never had any of that. So for me, baseball was probably always like fourth on my list of games to pay attention to or sports to pay attention to. I always knew about it, but I just didn't love baseball.
Both my mom and my dad absolutely love baseball. My dad is a huge Kansas City Royals fan. My mom is a huge Atlanta Braves fan. And so, that's what we watched and listened to when I was growing up. We'd be on the lake and the Royals game would be on. And for the longest time, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the next voice of the Kansas City Royals.
Brett Saberhagen in the windup. 3-1 count.
What were you guys doing on the lake in Nebraska?
We had a boat, and so we not a very nice boat, but we'd go fishing.
Just let us imagine you on the Nebraska yacht, will you? Okay, please.
Can you imagine Adam sitting there on a boat with your dad fishing and listening to a little baseball? Can you imagine that? Okay, you know how lucky you are, Austin?
I'm well aware of how being on this show has shown me just how lucky I am.
See,
with
Austin,
my dad's situation.
when we imagine it, it's like this. It's like, hey, son, tie this boat off. I'll be right back to get the truck. And then we're waiting there.
Never came back. Yeah.
And no ride home.
Yeah, I do think if we, again, I never grew up or I never even worked in a city that had a Major League Baseball team. Now, when I worked in Jacksonville, they had the Jacksonville Suns, and they were quite popular for a minor league team. But again, it's minor league baseball. If you lived in a city that had baseball, and I mentioned my friend earlier, Jeff Wilson, my best friend in Orlando. I mean, he still follows the Pirates. The Pirates have been miserable for decades. All right, they've had a couple of decent years, but for the most part, they've been miserable. But he still follows them. Why? Because he grew. They were in his town when he grew up, And Mark Daniels, big Yankees fan. I think Daniels spent the first part of his youth in New York, so that's where he became a Yankees fan and a Giants fan and all of that. So again, the fact that we don't have a baseball team really hinders, I think, Central Florida's view of baseball. Don't you guys?
Well, maybe even in our demographic, the whole state of Florida, because remember, we didn't have, I didn't have the Rays when I lived in Tampa. When I was younger, it was just then the Florida Suncoast Dome was built, and there was nothing in there at the time, and they were trying to get baseball. The Marlins didn't exist. So this entire state, we had spring training, and so you only got like a kind of a little taste of baseball for a little bit, but never a team to call your own. And so most of the people I know in the state of Florida were fans of the Braves because that was the closest thing they had, and I think you could watch them on TBS or
that's right. That's how I watched them.
Channel 44 way back in the day. I think used to run some Braves games for us back in Tampa.
44 was the Cubs. I thought that was the Cubs 44. I think maybe.
That's
WGN.
That's WGN. I'm talking about Channel 44 on your UHF dial when you were in Tampa. that was that top one that moved in little bits. Not just big chunks. Chunk, chunk, chunk.
Let's go to Tennessee. Mark, I know he's a baseball fan. He's a big Tigers fan. Tennessee, Mark, what's happening?
Yes, sir, Tigers fan, which everybody couldn't believe because I was born and raised in Tennessee. But what had happened is my grandfather, after World War II was over, he moved the family from Tennessee to Detroit to work in the motor plants. And then my dad came back to college at Belmont University. And then when I was born, when I was 5 years old, they used to put me on a plane 2 weeks out of the summer. And I'd go hang out with my grandfather. He had season tickets, 6th row behind home plate.
Wow. Who were the big Tigers? Was that in the Al Kaline days or after that?
No, well, you had the Keystone Kids, Trammell and Whitaker up the middle.
Ah.
Harris.
That's right.
Al Kaline, that was kind of late. Yeah, that was in his late career. So Kaline's corner. You know what I call it, Kaline's corner?
No.
Because Kaline was chasing a foul ball over in the corner, and nobody yelled fence, and he hurt his knee on the corner. So they call him Kaline's corner.
Oof. Wow. Ooh, that hurts.
Have a good one, guys. I love baseball.
Tennessee, Mark. We got
was
Tennessee,
that the Cecil
Mark.
Fielder days?
I think it might have been, yeah. Tennessee, Mark, giving us a little watching baseball with Granddad.
That's a perfect example. I think that baseball is sort of this acquired taste that would be passed down from father to son, grandfather to grandson. And if you've skipped the generation that you and I skipped by not having dads around, and then boom, college football and the NFL and all this other stuff got big, baseball. There's no room in our emotional bank, sports bank, for baseball. We've invested it all in football and college sports and whatnot. And then for me, soccer I fell in love with, and maybe there's a sport that you like even better than football. But yeah, I mean, if your grandfather or your father wasn't there putting the old Tigers cap on you and taking you into the ballpark, and you had your glove trying to catch a foul, if you don't have those memories, maybe baseball doesn't sort of hit that tug those heartstrings.
Former Florida State baseball coach Mike Martin told me one time, and I asked him why football surpassed baseball as sort of the national pastime. He goes, well, baseball, that's one of those sports you go to the game and you can talk to your wife during the baseball game. Then he goes, on 4th and 3, I'm not talking to my wife, okay?